Well, hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to Sci-Fanatics. Today we're talking about Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode 7. We've got the trailer to have a look at for this episode. We've got a sneak peek scene from the episode to take a look at to get us all excited about what's coming up in next week's episode. We've got the Borg Queen having taken over Jurati's body. She's now walking the streets of LA, getting up to no good, no doubt. Meanwhile, we've got Talon using the sort of technological mind meld device to get into Picard's head, work out what's going on there, and bring him out of his coma. So it looks like we might be in for an interesting episode. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Sci-Fanatics yet, please do so. It really helps the channel out. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that people are interested in my content. Click on that big red button to stay up to date and current with all the latest Star Trek news on YouTube, because there's so much news going on at the moment, with everything going on with Picard, with Strange New Worlds coming up soon. It's going to be open slather for Star Trek content. So yeah, be sure you don't miss out on anything. We'll have a look at the trailer first, and we'll break that down shot by shot, see what we can kind of gather is coming up for this week's episode. And then after we watch the trailer, we'll check out the sneak peek scene a bit later in this video. So let's take a look at our trailer for Episode 7.
Once upon a time, there was a queen. She could feel danger in her bones. That's what happens when you live in a world where monsters are real.
This should allow me into his mind.
You sure that'll work?
Not in the slightest.
How long before she's strong enough to assimilate others?
We're supposed to save the future, but we might have just doomed it.
Interesting. I'm really keen to see how Agnes copes with the Borg Queen possession, so to speak. It seems like we're gonna it's all Borg Queen and no Agnes. But I'm really quite interested to see how Alison Pill's gonna portray the Borg Queen in this episode. All right, let's take a look shot by shot and see what we're up for. So first off, we have Agnes here, aka Borg Queen number 2, entering a bar in LA, which I'm guessing she's going to raise hell at. There's a certain vibe here which leads me to believe that we're going to be getting a scene with Agnes, probably not that dissimilar to our scene in, if you guys remember Superman 2, where Clark got bullied by the guy at the bar or whatever. In that, I sort of think we're going to get a bit of a similar kind of scene, perhaps.
God!
And it looks like that we're going to be seeing Guinan again in this episode. I'm guessing that maybe Agnes, aka Borg Queen, is trying to hunt down Guinan at various bars in LA. Unless, of course, these vibrations and damage to the bar and bottles smashing and everything is a potential confrontation between Q and Guinan. That would be very interesting to see. I think we're going to be getting a lot more insight into the childhood of Jean-Luc in this episode, with all these flashbacks which we've been only getting glimpses of in the past. I think with Talon going into Jean-Luc's mind, I think we're going to finally see some of these nightmarish images and a little bit more of a fleshing out of Jean-Luc's childhood. And what I'm guessing is his family violence inflicted by his father. Now in this next shot, we see Rios being beamed some kind of, I'm guessing, medical instrument. It appears to be technology that's reminiscent of the Confederation. We've got his comm badge there directly underneath on the bench top. Probably some device they require for this intervention that Talon's using to go into his mind. Now it appears we've got Talon here setting up to do this mind meld on Jean-Luc to crack into his psyche, work out what's going on the inside, putting these brain scanning type devices on his temple. And it appears she's got a similar thing that she puts on. And I know she doesn't like to be called Laris, but it's a bit hard not to with these pointy ears she's got going on now. So there's definitely something the Talon isn't quite telling us about her connection to Laris and a potential Romulan connection. Shot here of Talon activating her system, which plugs her into Jean-Luc's mind so that she can bring him out of his coma, where I guess she's going to be getting a tour of Shadow Picard and an insight into Jean-Luc's childhood 70 or 80 years prior. And Seven making the very good observation that even though they've come back to the past to remedy the timeline, they could be potentially making it worse, with the Borg Queen assimilating Earth. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the sneak peek scene for this episode, where we see what Raffi and Seven are up to in this episode, and we'll have a talk about that scene as it goes along. Let's check that out.
Kissing Rios? Oh, look, if that whole thing starts up again, I quit the game. No, seriously, I don't think I have it in me. What? Oh, you and me. Now, see, we're totally different. Now, our pain's beautiful and tragic, and everyone loves hearing about it.
Absolutely.
This time gap that we've got between season 1 and season 2 of about 18 months or so, I think it's interesting because all this stuff's gone on in this 18-month period that we haven't been privy to, with the whole relationship between Rios and Girardi that these guys are referring to. We've got the whole relationship that happened between Raffi and Seven. It seems like there's a bit of baggage on all behalves, I think, in this episode where all this stuff's gone down between all our characters, and we've sort of come in at the tail end of it. So it's, in some ways, it's kind of fun to kind of, hear about the history without having to kind of live through every moment of it. It's this nice little gap of information that kind of keeps us, oh, what happened there? What happened there? Tell us the gossip. It's sort of like you're asking a friend about, well, what happened in your relationship? What's going on? Who's with who? All this sort of thing. I think having not seen it, it sort of leads more open to, interpretation and speculation, which sort of, I guess, keeps us interested to hear these little morsels of what we missed out on.
We're the main event. Now, Girardi and Rios, they're like a side story.
And obviously you know how the main story ends.
What, you mean once we're through all this shit? Well, the premonition I'm having is us old. And we sit on park benches, tripping teenagers on floaty things with our canes.
I'm better at it than you.
Of course.
I get a sense that Raffi is a little bit more invested in the relationship that there was between Seven and Raffi than maybe Seven is. I think Seven's loosening up a little bit in the sense that she isn't weighed down by the all the Borg, baggage and all of the Borg implants and stuff, which add all this sort of weight to her kind of personality. I think the fact that she's been freed up from them in this timeline, we're seeing a little bit more lightness or levity out of Seven. But I guess the question is once they get the timeline corrected and they get Back to the Future, is that weight of Seven's sort of, Borg past and everything going to then weigh it down, the relationship down again, and certain personality traits will kind of come back to the forefront again, which might then impede any kind of, future progression in the relationship.
Initiating scan for Girardi's comm badge.
Whoa, what did you do?
Nothing. I tried to access the ship's optical data network and it kicked me out. And now I'm locked out.
By who?
Who? What? This encryption isn't human by design. It's Borg.
Queen? What the hell did she do to our ship?
I don't know. But if we can't get access and something's wrong with Girardi, we're never going to find her.
Not to mention, this ship is our only way home.
It's going to be really interesting to see how Girardi handles being this new sort of Borg Queen persona and how she's going to fight off the persona of the Queen that's inside her. Obviously, now that the Borg Queen's dead, they're going to need someone to do those calculations to get the slingshot around the sun thing going on. And I'm guessing that's going to have to be Girardi. Obviously, there's been some speculation and chat in the comments with people saying, oh, well, the Borg Queen we saw on the very first episode, that's got to be Girardi. But then how can it be? Because when you think about it, they need Girardi to get back, which means Girardi has to come with them on the ship. So unless someone else gets infected with Borg, nanoprobes or whatever, and therefore becomes this sort of weird time-traveling Borg Queen, I honestly think the Borg Queen at the start probably isn't going to be Agnes. I think that's going to be, could see it coming a mile away. I would be surprised if that was the conclusion, because I think that's what everybody's thinking. And if it did turn out to be that, yes, it makes sense, but it is also pretty obvious. So I would be surprised if it was that obvious a conclusion. I think it's probably more likely, it's going to be Renee Picard, or it's going to be, Talon or something like that, perhaps. We've only got sort of 4 episodes left, so we're definitely over halfway in the season now. But then again, there's also the good news of when Picard finishes, we get Strange New Worlds. So, it's going to be great to see that show as well. 15% off in the merch store at the moment, so you can pick up all my Star Trek themed t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, caps, all that sort of stuff in the merch store, 15% off. until the 12th of April. So you've got a few days there to take advantage of that sale. Please leave a super thanks if you're able to. It really helps the channel out. So much content coming out in the last week or two, so it really helps if you're able to. If not, just like and comment. That always helps. Share this video with your friends and subscribe if you haven't done so. Guys, I'll be back soon with my next video. I shall see you then.